a lot, and thank you for letting me talk. And I'm really looking forward to talk to as many of you today as possible. Um, I will. As Christina said, I'm a green entrepreneur, and I have written two books. One is the one that Christina talked about, which is called, it's in Danish, it's called Waste and Imagination. And even the book itself is actually compostable. But even the ink is actually compostable. I think that's kind of nice. And then I've also co-written a book called Massive Change, about the future of design. This was done a few years ago. And actually the guy who is behind the book, called Tobias Lau, he's actually located in Chicago. I was just talking to Carol, who was in Chicago, so maybe you know him. What I discovered a few years ago was a really interesting fact that I hadn't thought about when I was drinking coffee. And I'm in Denmark, so we drink fair amounts of coffee in this country. But what I had rarely thought about, and what I think most people rarely think about, is that when you make coffee, you pour hot water through crushed beans, and that becomes the coffee. So you take the aroma and the color from the beans, and that is turned into coffee. But what you don't think about that much is what you leave behind. And you leave behind massive amounts of coffee grounds, which is considered waste. And because you only use a tiny bit of the actual amounts, I've heard from Professor Günther Pauli, who some of you might know, that means that you only use around 0.2% of the coffee. So in 99.8%, you throw that out as coffee grounds, which is just unbelievable when you really think about it, because coffee grounds is full of nutrients, it's full of fibers, it's full of cellulose, and it's full of oils and other good things that you can use for so many things. So what we do here in Copenhagen is that we started this company in 2016, where we start to collect coffee grounds from big companies that drink a lot of coffee during the day, and we collect right now around 2 tons of organic coffee grounds a month, and we turn that and mix it with other things, and we turn it into around a ton of mushrooms a month that we sell to primarily to local restaurants, and some of them are really high end, like Noma and Alchemist and other Michelin restaurants. And something that I think is really interesting about coffee as such is that it's a biomaterial that you can use for so many things. So I'm sure that most of you are familiar with the circular economy and the bioeconomy, and something that I have come across that I think is really interesting in terms of the bioeconomy and how to use biomaterials in the future is this triangle. That I don't know if all of you know, but it's a triangle that shows how you can use biomaterials such as coffee grounds and coffee waste into enhance it and enrich it into more valuable products. So in the bottom you have the fact that you can burn it and turn it into heat and electricity. Then you can increase the value and try to create fuel out of it, fuel for transportation. Then on top of that, you have materials. You can turn it into furniture, for example, or other kinds of materials. On top of that, you have a feed for stocks for animals. And on top of that, you have food, like what we do. We turn it into mushrooms. And then on the top, I don't know if you can imagine what the top is, the most maximum value you can create out of biomaterials such as coffee grounds, but that is medicine. And a lot of people are now trying to figure out, what should we do with this material, like coffee grounds. So coffee has led me into, like, for me personally, the coffee has led me into the mushroom community, the global mushroom community that I didn't know really existed like 5 years ago. And I should say that we are still just a small company. So we have a turnover of like 2 million kroner, which is around 300,000 euro. We have 3 to 4 employees, so it's not a big company, but just so you know. And right now, I'm a part of the board, and I'm also helping other places in Europe, but also in other parts of the world to create mushroom farms out of local bio-waste. So, for example, I'm helping to create a mushroom farm in an island called La Réunion, which is in the Indian Ocean. It's close to Mauritius. And what I'm getting more and more interested in, and that I think we will also talk about more, is the compost side, and that's also where Cascara comes in. But I think Silvio will probably talk more about Cascara than I will. But I'm getting more and more interested in compost and how to create new soil, because already now we have 2 billion hectares that is depleted. So we have to create more soil. We have to create more topsoil for our food sector in general. So something that I think is worth thinking about is how much bio-waste is created on coffee farms. So and that is created, for example, through pruning in terms of hardwood waste. And in theory, you can take that hardwood waste and turn that into you can mix it with mycelium, which is the roots of mushrooms, and you can create mushrooms locally in coffee farms if you want to, and thereby improve the livelihood and the income of coffee farmers. So we have around we have around 40 million tons of biomass in general rotting in farms, in coffee farms, that we can use for so many other things. For example, mixing with mycelium and producing mushrooms locally, and of course also using for other things. I know that a woman in Colombia called Carmenza Jaramillo has done that, and she has proven you can take 1 ton of local hardwood waste from coffee farms and turn it into half a ton of mushrooms. So you have 1 ton of coffee waste locally, you can turn it into half a ton of mushrooms. So if you multiply that up to the around 25 million coffee farmers around the world, and you earn around $3,000 for 1 ton of mushrooms, that could create jointly more food value of $60 billion US waiting to be cultivated in the coffee farms around the world. So that's just one aspect, or just one idea of how to use all this value that the coffee industry is creating.